Hi, so in this lecture, we are going to learn about pulling multiple items from a list depending on the requirement. So, for example, let's say we have three types of product, let's say one, two, three, and each product, let's say this one needs part one. So, there are three types of parts available. So, let's say this is order type, okay? And these are the required ports. So there are three types of ports available. It may be one, let's say this would mean that for this order type, one of part one is needed, zero of part two, and one of part three. Okay, so part three will also mean how many parts are needed. So if we specify three here, that means three parts are needed. Three parts are needed of the part one. So I would just like to revise here. So one here means that this is of the type 1. Okay. So in other words, for this order, it might need three item, it might need two item, it might need one item. So this is the part that's specifying how many parts we need. Now, once we specify this, so one here represents it belongs to part 1. So if we had used 2, it would mean this is of type 2. If you had specified 3, it would have meant that it requires of type 3. Similarly, this can be 1, 2, or 3. Okay. And if it's 0, it would mean that it's not needed. So in these circumstances, 3 would mean that first one would belong to part 1, second one will belong to part 3, and the third one will again belong to part 1. So this column is actually telling us two things. One, total items required, and the type of part 3. This may be 1, this may be 2, this may be 3. Okay, so if it's 3, that means if we need 3 types, this would mean that the second part will be of the third category. You can do it in any other ways. You can have any another additional column to specify like total parts needed. So just for clarification, we are going to make it a little complicated here. Okay, so let's go to our FlexSim. We are we are going to create a new model. So first thing we're going to do, we are going to go to our toolbox. We are going to create our global list, which will contain the item list. So this will be type, age, distance, everything will be by default. We are just going to add an additional label here called part, and we are going to click on OK. This will create the item list here. Then we are going to create a global table. So the global table here is going to have 3 rows, 3 columns. As we discussed, this is one, or we can just name it as row 1, no problem. So let's keep it as 1, 0, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 1, 2. Okay, so we have done it. Now let's just create some elements. Let's have a source block here. So this will generate the order. Let's call it order generator. So this will create some boxes. Let's put it here 30 seconds. Within 30 seconds, it will create a box. So we're going to create, excuse me, on creation, we're going to have some data, set label by percentage values. So let's say item label type is going to be this one. since we have three types of product, 1, 2, and 3. So let's use 15, 15, and 17. Okay, that means 100%. Now if I see if it is of the type 1, it would belong to row 1. Okay, so let's just use it as type 1, type 2, type 3. Okay, now the order generator from here, it should come to a QE block that will hold the orders until all the ports are available. So I'm just going to connect the source block with the QE block, and we are not going to send it anywhere. So we do not want to release the item, and after this we are going to use a processor. And you are going to connect the QE with the processor. So let's say it will take 10 seconds, and from here it will go at QE or maybe sync, whatever you like. So we are going to connect this processor with the sync with the QE2. Okay, so this will generate our orders. Now we need some parts generator. So for that we are going to take another source block, part generator. So let's say another 30 second. We are going to on creation data 2, 3. Okay, so let's use like 10, 10, and 80. Okay, so now this parts generated, it should also be able to, we are going to store it temporarily in the QE block. And from the QE block, we want it to transport it to another QE block. So I'm not going to make any connections here. We want to do this using a flowchart. So I'm just going to save it and name it global list. Once we have done it, we're going to go to the process flow and we are going to add a general process flow. Now, first thing we're going to do, we're going to take a list element, put it here. Okay, so the list we are going to use is going to be the item list that we created earlier. So if I don't, so item list contains this fields. So now we are going to get some event triggered source. So this source is going to be connected with some triggers. Okay, so since the source is being generated by the order, so the triggering force is going to be the QE1. So on entry. Okay, and we are going to assign this to, let's say, to a QE. So on every time an order is created, a token will be generated here. And we want to assign the item that's generating here with this token. Once we have done it, we want to add a 0-second breath just to be safe. Once we have done this, we should be able to assign some labels here. So as we know, the orders that are coming in already has a label named type here. Okay, so when you're going to assign the labels here, let's call it ports required. Okay, So let's see if we can use a globe lookup or something like that here. Mm, okay, by global table lookup. So the table we're going to use is going to be called global table 1, and the row is going to be token dot item dot type. Column is going to be the third one. So if I remember correctly, the parts required is actually here. So this was part 1, part 2, and part 3. Okay, so the third column contains the required number of items. So once we have done that, now we know how many parts I need to generate. So let's just run it. Let's just save it and let's see the parts generated. Okay, we'll stop. So the first token here generated is telling us this needs two two uh two parts. The next one needs also two parts. So that means this is either type 2 or type 3. Okay, now if in the order generation, if we can control the color, okay, let's see. Okay, so for 3 we have, I guess, for 3 it's blue, for 2 it's green, and for 1 it's red. Okay, now let's try to create a subflow here. We're going to go with the start here. So it's going to start here, and we are going to assign some labels here. So the start here, some tokens are going to come here, and the quantity is going to be defined by the parse required. Mm, Parse required. So run tokens one at a time. So first token will come here, and we want to assign a rank called creation rank or something. Yeah. So since you're generating, let's say, two tokens, the first one will contain rank 1, second one will be 2. If it was 3, first one 1, second one 2, third one 3. So now in the assign labels here, we want to get the parts associated with that token. So let's say this is uh, parts index or something. Okay, so the value here is going to be global table again. So table is going to be global table. Row is going to be defined by token dot item dot type, and the column is going to be token dot uh, rank. Yeah. So what this will do, if the type is 1, this will select this row. For the first part, creation rank 1, it will select this. For the second one, it will select this. For third, it will select this. So each token will get a new party index, and we want to. So up to this, let's see how it looks. Okay, let's stop it here. So the first index, we can see 2 parts required, parts index is also 2. So if we check our global table here, so that means it's this one. Next one, 2. Okay, everything is 2. Okay. Okay, so now we want to pull from the list. So we're going to pull from this list. So in order to do that, so the parts that are coming here, we need to push those parts in this list. So parts coming here, we want them to push. So we're going to use a list and push the items to this list. Once those items are in this list, we have a query port. So in the assigns, we name this as the port index. Okay. So in the pull list, the query is going to be uh, port index token dot port index equals to the label we created as the port. So the label we created was here, this part. Okay. So the label we created here was actually called type. So in the pull list, it's going to be of the type. Okay. So it's going to become puller. So this token is connected with the puller. This will be puller. Okay. So now let's see how it's looking. Okay. So let's stop. Hmm. We can see pulled. It's pulling the boxes. And yeah. So after pulling the boxes, we want to move the parts from this queue to this queue. move object. So token dot item, the destination is going to be QE4. So the move object is going to send the item token dot item. So whatever we got here, token. Okay, let's have it like token dot boxes. We're creating a new variable here. So this should do like, okay. So if I see here, so the boxes that's being pulled is here. Okay. And token dot boxes. Okay. So in the move object, token dot boxes. Hmm. So this part is coming here. Okay. So I have moved the boxes that's supposed to be here. Now the order that's being fulfilled, I want them to send them out of the queue into the processor. So in order to do that, we are going to use a wait event, and let's say we connect it. So the object is going to be connected. It's going to listen to QE1 on exit, I guess. So we are going to listen on release token dot uh, box, I guess, item token dot item. We are going to send it to the destination one. Hmm. Release token source token. Let's say this to entry item. Let's make it match. Okay, so the entering item is going to be token dot item. We are going to match. We are going to send it to the next activity, and we are going to send it to token dot item through port. So we are going to find this. We are going to activate our listener, and in control we are going to go to basic effort, release item. We are going to tell it which item to release and through which port. So we have only one port here, so it will come here. So we are going to finish the flow here. The wait event should trigger, and we are going to connect the wait event with a sync block. Okay, so now the wait event should come to the sync block. So let's just save this, and let's see the auto generator. Let's have an enter arrival time up. Okay, so now let's just reset and run. Okay, first coming here. Okay, so one order is completed here. Mm, So we are going to have some color coding for the parts generated also. 10, 10, 80. Okay, let's have like 20, 20, and 60. And we are going to have a color. Hmm. So let's see now. This was of the type 3. Okay, so in the global table, let's see if I can put it here. Okay, so type 3, this requires two item. Okay, okay, so I can see only the green ones are coming here. So the green ones are type 2. So if I stop it here, this was type 3, red was type 1. So type 1 should have gotten this one. So that means something is not working here. So in the global table, our row was the type, okay, and the rank. So let's see the first one. The rank is 1. Parse index, this is 2. Okay, so green has the index 2. So what we need to do in the assign level, we are going to add another label called as type, and we're going to call it as token dot item dot type. Okay, and we are going to assign this right here. So it's going to become token dot type. Now if we run this, we can see this token has the type 3, which is same as this. So the main thing is the token dot type t has to be capital. Okay, so there is a variable in small t, that's not the one. The capital T, we have to focus on that. So this one is completed, the green one is completed, another blue one is completed. So type 1 is blue, type 2 is green, and red is type 3. Type 1, okay. Red is type 1, blue is type 3, and type 2 is green. Okay. So in this lecture we have learned how we can uh, use a list to extract multiple items connected to an order through a global table. So you can play with this table and see how it's interacting with the model. So let's just see in the order generator, we are going to play with it, and let's just say in the order generator, we are going to have arrival schedule. We are going to have only one order, and we are going to specify the label to 100% so that we get 1. So first order type we are going to get. So now let's see how this affects the model. So if we run this, we should be getting one order. So this is 1. So this one will need one red item. Okay. So let's, okay. So they have gotten the one red item from here. Okay. So here we created parts required. So let's see the parts required here. So parts required was 2. So 2 tokens is generated. First one they got it here. Second one, let's see why they are not pulling it. Second one, so this is type 1, Redis type 1. So in the assign levels, type row 1 is looking from here. So this value is 0 there. So it requires 2 port. Why? Okay, so let's see. There is an issue here. So it has take created two tokens. So the first token type is 1, ports required is 2. So global table ports required, where did it get it from? Ports required, okay. Token dot, okay, this one. This T is going to be capital. Okay, let's run it again. Okay, so you have got type 1, which is red, which should require a red item. Okay, that's nice. So one item completed the order. So now let's see if we needed two items. We specify two here. What happens, how it behaves. So normally it should take one from here, the one red item. Okay, another one. It, it's going to look for 0. So this is, it's going to look for this one. So the pull list, another issue is here. Pull list, the assigned table, column dot rank, the second column. So if there is a 0 here, it's best to have only one port here because it's asking for 0 item. This is not going anywhere. Okay. So now let's say we only need one port from here, which is the red port, and that should complete the order. Okay, now let's say we also need this one, and part 3 is 1. Let's see how that affects. So it's going to look for a red item here. That finished the order. Okay, and let's say it was looking for 2. What would happen then? Okay, so it got it 2 item. So let's say if you put here 2, how it's going to happen then? It should look for 1 red and 1 green. Okay, now it's waiting for a green item to be available. Okay, it got here. Now let's say if we require 3 item, how it's going to behave. So it should be red, green, and blue. Okay, red is there. Second part is going to be green. Okay. Okay, so that's it. So I hope you learned everything I was trying to teach here. If you had any difficulties, don't forget to reach out to me. And I wish you all the best and have a great day. Thank you.